traders from across the globe, and welcome to the 1345th edition of Short-Term Trading Live with Oscar Carboni, and of course that would be me. Traders, good evening. A lot in this video. Pull up a chair, get ready to pay attention. I will be as quick as I can and get us into the chart segment. This video is coming to you on a Sunday night for trading, Sunday through Monday, July 20th, 2015. As we know, before we get into what's on the board, let me remind you that futures trading is absolutely, positively, extremely risky, causes substantial financial loss, is absolutely not suitable for all traders. Today's volatility, if you don't have a pretty big war chest, you shouldn't be playing this game. For you traders that understand the risks and have a war chest, rock and roll. Let's get going. Video 1345. What is in the video? I am here to tell you that the biggest problem most analysts and traders have in this industry, and I'm on my 35th year now, is ego versus technical analysis. In fact, that is the theme and the name of tonight's video. Ego versus technical analysis. One of the questions I want you to think about while we get started in this video is this. Why do so many traders lose money, especially ones who actually look at the charts? I will explain it to you. I'll show you some charts and you'll see my reasoning. But most traders have an ego that's very large. And you know what? We need that. We all do. Absolutely. Me, all of us. You could not sit home and think you're smart enough and brave enough and you've got what it takes. You've got the stamina. You've got all the right tools that it needs to sit there and be a trader for yourself. You've got to have an ego. Congratulations, because you need one, right? Tough business, need an ego. I've got one, you must have one. However, there is a time when that ego needs to remind itself it could not possibly be as smart as the entire Fed, as Aunt Janet Yellen herself, as Bernanke was, as the heads of this country. I don't care what you think of them. None of us are smart enough to be smarter than all of them collectively, the ones who actually make the decisions on monetary policy. And here is the answer, if you ask me, why so many traders lose money. Because they try to rationalize the fundamental information, then they form an opinion. Ego comes out, they form an opinion of that fundamental information. They take their opinion and they try to prove it out on the technical analysis. That is wrong. What you are supposed to do with technical analysis is use it on its own merits and recognize you couldn't be smart enough to figure out all of this mess. And I'll tell you right now, and you've heard this in many, many past videos, a chart is nothing more than a visual look at all the fundamental news and information and traders' reaction to such. It's all in the chart. If you know how to read a chart, you do not need to know how to disseminate through all the fundamental information because it's not possible. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care what school you graduated from. You can't figure it all out. So what do we have? We have the chart, and the chart figures it out. And the point behind this video, ego versus technical analysis, is this. For the past month almost, I've come up with almost completely bearish videos and showing you reasons why the market should go down. And Omni puts the brakes on. I come up with a formation that I think is extremely bullish. It's absolutely opposite of my opinion at this point. I think the market's going to crack starting into the beginning of last week because I've done a month of bearish videos. 3, maybe 4 videos were bullish out of the entire month of June coming into July. So here I am, getting finally a little bit bearish. I come out in front of this camera last week with a wacky formation. I show it to everyone and I said, the jig is up. We should go up and make new highs. That, my friends, is versatility. A guy who's been bullish for I can't tell you how long, me and the Omni, we turned bearish for the month of June and immediately turned bullish last week when we find what? A chart formation that tells me I don't know what I'm talking about. How could I possibly? Right in the middle of China having its spill off, crashing, you've got Greece pretending that they're going to leave the EU to try to hijack more money from these poor people, and the market gives me a buy signal. I give that buy signal to you. Granted, I did not trade it perfectly. I wish I could say I did. Calling a market and trading it are two different things. My results were not nearly as good as they could have been, but the analysis was perfect. It absolutely refuted and rebutted all of the fundamental news. And I think I am the only professional Wall Street analyst out there last week that called for new highs, and we got new highs. Why? Because I put my stupid ego in the drawer, I locked it up, and I let the technical analysis take over. And that is why Omni comes up with so many fantastic calls. I know that I couldn't possibly be smart enough to figure out all the news. I don't care where you grew up. I don't care what you know. It is not possible. You know where it's possible? Right here in technical analysis. These graphs with the averages, the way F flags work, the trade setups, bear flags, technical indicators, all the stuff you see on this board, all the stuff I show you in these videos, it is technical analysis absolutely showing us what the fundamentals mean before the fundamentals even finally become news. That is the proof I'm about to give you right now in this chart segment. If you like the chart you're about to see, you come on down to livewithoscar.com. Come into my free live trading room. I am there. It's open 24 hours a day. It's free, and I'm almost always there. Ask anybody. Come to livewithoscar.com if you like the chart you're about to see. We're going to start off with one. I am the exact same person using the exact same Omni analysis that got on national television last year and said the crude oil is at 103, it'll be trading 55 by the beginning of 2015 on national television. I use nothing but technical analysis, the Omni. Right, coming into 2015, we smacked into the 50 mark. They brought me back on TV and asked me how I did that, and I told them exactly the same thing I'm telling you. I used technical analysis. I made a call. Now we're going to use crude oil because I came in front of this video last week with a crude oil chart. I told you it's got a bear flag, a perfect specimen. Crude should go down. I showed you a gold chart in my last video. I said gold should go down. I showed you an S&P chart in my last video, and I said S&P has to go up based on this wacky new formation I have noticed. And I showed you a NASDAQ weekly chart, and I told you NASDAQ goes to make new highs. All of that took place last week. Does technical analysis always work? Absolutely not. I also called a corn trade for the upside after it made a nice F flag, and the corn trade failed and it went down and it was a loser. Not all of the technical analysis we come up with will work, but the majority of it does. It keeps you consistent. It gives you a methodical approach. It keeps you professional. With no further ado, let's go look at those charts. Traders, technical analysis versus ego. Technical analysis, if you ask me, a chart is a visual look at all the fundamental news before it even comes out. Why do I say that? I showed you this crude oil chart at the beginning of last week before there was an Iranian deal, which we've never had because they always back out in the last minute. So how could the chart know there was going to be a deal? I showed you this. I said this is a very nice specimen. It's got projections. 50.70 being one, 48.90 being another. Based on technical analysis, I don't care what the fundamentals are. That's what it looked like. This is where it went. In fact, bring those together. That's what it looked like. And this is what happened. I mean, oh my God, right? Now, the very same chart, not only did it meet my projection, it got just a little bit under it. It got to 50-ish, right? Met the first projection. This very same flag, you thought that was a nice specimen? When the markets move, things morph and turn out to be larger flags or smaller flags or not even a flag, but markets tend to morph. Same chart, this flag is morphed into an even better specimen. That's a much more symmetrical flag right there. I like this one much better. Look, it's a much better version, and I think you'll get right down to 48.90 with no trouble at all. That was a fundamental coming out in the chart before it came out, because this is what happened since we heard about the Iranian deal, and it looks like it's going to get even lower. That, my friends, is the chart coming out first. No one needed to try to figure out the fundamentals behind the Iranian deal. The chart told us. Next, I showed you this gold. I've been showing you this gold chart since we created the Head and Shoulders at the Oscarism known as the failed head test. I said that is it. The jig is up. We have been basically selling every rally we could sell at the Omni Trading Academy since then. Even this one. This is what it looked like when we began, and this is what happened, traders. Once again, how it began, and look at what happened. My goodness, that is just fantastic. and it looks like we will continue to go lower. You can continue to sell the rallies in gold. I kid you not, I've been telling people for the last couple of years, gold has turned into nothing more than just a regular commodity. It's just like any other commodity. It is not the hedge against the end of the world. It is not a hedge against inflation. It has become nothing more than another commodity. Here's the proof. You know why? China was losing its stock market, Greece was losing its mind, and gold was losing its value. How about that? That tells you this is not the hedge against the end of the world like it used to be. On to the next chart. Traders, remember this crazy, insane chart I put before your eyes, and I said, even though I've been doing bearish videos for almost a month, this is a four-legged bottom, plus I have this insane formation that tells us we should get up here to number 8, like this one did. And I put it before your eyes, and granted, for the first 2 days, I could not even get us long for it, because it started to go up, but I couldn't even believe in it. How could anyone? We were crashing. But I came out and said, that's it. From this day forward, we are respecting this formation. Now I expect new highs. This is where it was. And this is what's happened so far. I mean, am I wrong? Ego versus technical analysis? Was there a single analyst that you can think of when we were down here that was calling for the upside? Their egos were screaming, it's the end of the world. The Fed is wrong. Greece is going to sink us. The end of the world comes when China bails out. All of that was nonsense. It was ego-driven. The chart told us this would happen. I put a number 8 there. Look at how close we've gotten so far. If this was the NASDAQ, it would have blown right through that number 8. Fantastic the way analysis works. This is more proof that a chart is a visual look at all of the fundamental news, all of the fundamental information, and traders' reaction to such. The chart knew we were going up. It didn't matter what traders thought. Next. Weekly NASDAQ, I showed this to you. I said we now should make new highs. I put this very same chart before your eyes and said, are new highs coming? Yes, that's what's next. And I called it in my last video. And I said to you, even though I was bearish, I now must call for new highs because the chart tells me that, not my ego. This is where it was. And this is what happened. All-time new highs. No ego involved. It's all about technical analysis. Traders, this is an unbelievable art. Now let's go to the dailies. What should happen for tomorrow? Well, NASDAQ sure did get ahead of itself. It jumped over that flat top and exploded, but it looks good. Maybe a pullback and then continue on the upside. But let's go look at the S&P because the S&P didn't quite make it as high. Look, it never got past its previous highs yet. It is due. It was being held back basically by the oil stocks that are in the S&P all day Friday. The oil sector stocks were getting hammered, and the S&P just could not get ahead of itself, even though the NASDAQ exploded. I suspect, because we're in one of those Oscarism F flags, that we will continue inside this F flag and move a little higher and catch up to that NASDAQ. That's what I'm expecting. We held right at OTAPMA, right there at the top of the pole. It was perfect the way it took off. So let's see. Then there's this, the Russell 2000. At an F flag on Friday, comes down to the bottom of, it's either a bull or an F flag, we'll see. Comes right to the bottom of the F flag. Hits the average, stops and begins to pop, and NASDAQ just took off. So this is due to go higher on Monday, at least to catch up to NASDAQ. That's the way analysis works. Now, does analysis always work, traders? It does not always work. A prime example, another F flag. You see how many of those did work? Well, I called for a buy inside of this F flag just last week, and this is what happened instead. It went down to here, and then it cracked. And we got F'd on the Oscarism known as the F flag, but that's okay, because almost all of these I have shown you in the past have worked out for us. Certainly in this video, the ones I have shown you have been working out, so not all of them will work. Sometimes you get F'd, but you must believe if you find 5 flags, that 4 of them will probably work and 1 won't. That is a very good way to approach these markets. Traders, pull your own charts, do your own analysis. Come on down to livewithoscar.com. So traders, you've seen the charts and you've got my technical argument for why ego is absolutely not going to beat out the markets over technical analysis. If you think you're smart enough to figure this out and then take your opinion and try to make a chart match your opinion, you need to stop what you're doing come on down to the Omni Trading Academy at livewithoscar.com and allow me to help you take your ego out of the equation and put the technical analysis in, because that is the only thing that works. 34, almost 35 years now in the business, and I thought we were going down last week. Thank the Lord I believe in charts more than my stupid ego. And that is what I am here to tell you. Put your ego in a drawer, shut the drawer, lock it up, leave it there until the markets close. Take it back out. Tell all your friends how great you are, but lock that damn thing up again when the markets go to open in the afternoon. That is your best bet. Traders, come on down to livewithoscar.com. Come into my free trading room, and I'll see you all there. Remember, very emotional business we're in. Keep your emotions out of trading. One of the best things you can do to help yourselves with that is say this to yourselves every morning, every afternoon, every evening, and you know what that is. Stops are in. Emotions are out. Traders, remember, a chart is merely a visual look at all the fundamental news and traders' reaction to such. Futures trading is risky and can cause substantial financial loss. We do not claim or guarantee that you will profit from the information provided.